Hey, the LA Rams traded 2 future draft picks to the New England Patriots, a 4th and a 5th round pick in the next 2 years, in exchange for Sony Michel, former first round running back. This trade definitely affects multiple players, so let's break down the new backfields for the Patriots and the Rams. When Cam Akers tore his ACL, I was rather confident that the Rams would add a veteran running back to this mix. I was kind of hoping it'd be Todd Gurley, honestly. I think that would be kind of funny. But they traded for Sony Michel, who was almost a Super Bowl MVP when the Patriots beat the Rams just a couple years ago, 13-3. Anyways, they definitely got a talented player, but one that definitely comes with a lot of injury risk. I think Belichick missed when he drafted Sony Michel ahead of Nick Chubb, who were teammates in Georgia. I think that's a mistake that's definitely being admitted at the moment given this trade. Shockingly, Sony Michel was actually second in the NFL among all running backs in yards per carry last year. Very surprising stat, honestly. He was barely seeing 10 rushes a game, though, so it's not like his sample size was that big, but he still ranked second among all running backs, so he deserves credit for that stat. However, so does his offensive line. The Rams are not committed to Sony Michel long-term. They're committed to Cam Akers long-term. And that means I believe Sony Michel was traded for because the Rams view him as their new #1 running back. And Darrell Henderson will have a significant third down role. And because of his familiarity in the offense, he's definitely going to be the 2-minute drill running backs. But the scoring potential for the Rams is one of the highest in the league, honestly. On the bright side, Malcolm Brown is no longer in this backfield to steal those valuable goal line carries. Michel is definitely moving comfortably into my top 30 running back rankings, and the only concern I really have about him is his injury risk. He's had some knee injuries, and he's not the safest bet to play a full season. So that's why Darrell Henderson is going to have some upside if anything were to happen to Sony Michel. But I still think Michel will have the most value in this backfield. Michel is obviously buried on the ADP. He's currently going as running back 53, 170 overall. And Henderson is obviously a pass at his current ADP of running back 22, 45th overall. So that's going to plummet quickly, but what is fair value for both of these players? What's too soon for Sony Michel and what's too late for Darrell Henderson? I think that this backfield is going to look a lot like the Arizona Cardinals usage. So that's the type of fantasy value that I expect, but it's boosted because Kyler Murray is not a factor who's going to be vulturing, 8 rushes per game and a lot of goal line carries. So I think that the Rams backfield is a step up from the Cardinals backfield, and that's why I have Sony Michel, who I project to be the lead back on this team, as my running back 22. So if he's still available in round 8, that's a steal in my opinion. I don't know for sure that he's going to be more valuable than Darrell Henderson. That's my gut feeling. Both players carry some risk, but if Sony Michel is able to lock down the goal line role and secure at least 10 touchdowns this year, he's going to be a really, really valuable player, especially if you can get him closer to round 10 or so. He might be the steal of the draft. However, he could also be the mistake of the draft if you reach on him too high. So buyer beware with Sony Michel, but I like his upside quite a bit. And because of that, I think the late 6th round, or maybe the 6-7 turn, basically, is fair value for Sony Michel. Darrell Henderson definitely slides down the ranks, and I see him pretty comparable to a player like Kenyon Drake or James Conner, a backup who will have a significant role, but is more a handcuff option and a flex play with upside, basically. Sony Michel's departure opens the door in New England. Damien Harris definitely moves up the board, and let's take a look at his stats from last year. On a per-game basis, he played in 10 games last year, and he was seeing 14.2 touches per game. That would have ranked his running back 31 in 2020. He was barely a factor in the passing game. He was catching 0.5 receptions per game, and that would have ranked his running back 77 last season. So that is not part of his game. At least that's not how Belichick wants to use him. 74.3 yards per game, though, was pretty respectable, 22nd in the league, and much higher than his volume would suggest. That's because his yards per carry was 10th best in the league. It was 5 yards per carry, and his touchdown rate was really the only thing holding him back ultimately. A very low 0.2 touchdowns per game, 58th in the league among all running backs, and that all culminated in 8.9 half PPR points per game, which ranked as running back 37 on a per game basis. So Damien Harris was getting a decent workload that we expect to go up now, and despite being really efficient on the ground, he was nothing more than a floor play in a very low scoring offense. So that is what needs to change for Damien Harris to return a lot of fantasy value. The touchdowns need to be there. I like the prospect for this backfield because I think that regardless of who's the QB, New England is a run-first team, and their offensive line is one of the best in football. If he can cash in on the scoring potential, then he's going to be a really valuable running back too. I have him as running back 24, 2 spots behind Sony Michel, and Miles Sanders I have right between them. And that's because his receiving role, I don't think, is going to change. We know that James White is not going anywhere, and he has the pass-catching duties on lock. So the fact that Sony Michel is leaving only means that I think he's going to see about 5 more carries per game, basically. The player who's going to benefit the most is Ramandre Stevenson, the rookie 4th-round pick for the New England Patriots. He is 6 feet tall and weighs 227 pounds, according to Google. And he definitely profiles more as a goal line back. And he's going to be a thorn in the side of fantasy managers who have Damien Harris on their team. But that's kind of how it goes when you have a New England Patriots running back. You never know who's going to pop on any given week. They have a game plan that changes constantly. And it can be frustrating to bet on any one player. But I think Damien Harris proved enough last season to rely on him. And because they moved off of Sony Michel, only reinforces how much they believe in him. Rex Burkhead is also not on the team, so that's just one less mouth to feed. And I think once Cam Newton is no longer the QB, there's a lot of touches that open up for all of the running backs on this team. So all of those factors combined is why I think Damien Harris is a steal in drafts at the moment. His current ADP is running back 29, going 73rd overall at the top of the 7th round in a 12-team format. And I'd be willing to take him in the 5th or 6th round, basically, in the same range as Sony Michel. If you'd like a copy of my top 200 rankings to have for your draft, you can email me. My email address is niceandblunt@gmail.com, and I'll share that file with you. It'll be a view-only mode, but you will have access, and I'll be updating that pretty much every day, basically, as things change, news comes in, and yeah. This is my way of saying thank you, basically, for supporting my work, and I want to offer that for free. Again, the email is niceandblunt@gmail.com. If you'd like to say thank you, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video, comment on your thoughts on any of these players, and thank you so much for watching. My name is Adam Riancho, and this was Nice and Blunt.